Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this security webinar. This isn't I'm Jason Sikora, by the way. This isn't the first one this is the first one we're going to do, but not the last. We plan on doing a lot more of these. And then not only about security, but about other things as well. As we wait for the few more people to come and join us here, I want to show you, we pull it up. There's a pane on the side of your screen. If you don't see it, look for that little white arrow in the orange box. And this is how you ask questions. So there's a little question pane underneath it, and then you go ahead and if you have any questions throughout the webinar or at the end, put in the question there and hit send, and then Chris Rader and I will receive it. Also, I wanted to point out, just give me one moment here. Is it gonna pop up? So we have a YouTube channel with lots and lots of videos. So some of the things that Chris is going to go over can be found here. So we're going to talk about multi-factor authentication, and there's a 4-minute video about it, and there's also a podcast about it that Jason McClure and Sam Castro did. So keep that in mind. That's a great resource for you guys. Chris, I'm going to go ahead, and if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay,
Let me
let's
make
see. Share my webcam. I think we're ready.
Hang on 1 second. You're going to get a pop-up on your screen to share your screen. It looks like the webcam is working.
Okay, I guess everybody can see me now.
Great. Yep.
Well, thanks.
Looking good.
Thanks, Jason Sikora, and welcome everybody to the first webinar of many. And basically, we're trying to keep you secure on the internet. And what we have found is over the years, we've put a lot of security in place in firewalls and things on PCs and other parts of the network, and a lot of monitoring and programs to block things. But what we found is sometimes users are doing things outside of our control because they don't know. They've never been instructed on what to do and what not to do. So this is the first of a series to help us with that. First of all, I would like to tell you how we got here. In between 2013 and 2016, 3 billion, and that's a billion with a B, Yahoo accounts were hacked. And I want to tell you what that means for us, for everyone that's on this phone call. If you send an email to a person, if you sent your financials to a person that were not encrypted, or if you sent an email with banking information in between either 2013 and 2016, or even prior to that, during that about 3-year period, most of that information was put out on the dark web and sold. The dark web is an anonymous marketplace where people trade for this data, and they use cryptocurrencies to do it. So it's a live, true marketplace. So if you sent your financials to an accountant, and he was chrisraderaccountant.com, and you sent your financials to him, and Yahoo hosted that email, they would have had access to that. That's scary. And I truly believe that's where it started. Okay, so let me tell you what we have seen, and then we'll get into the presentation. About 2 years ago, we had a phone call from someone that said, I just wired $25,000 to a bank because I received an email from my boss. And we said, you did what? And then the person said, I just wired $25,000, or whatever the number was, to a bank account because I received an email from my boss. And we said, didn't we talk to you about this a few months ago and ask you not to do that? Because it's not an email from your boss, it's an email that looks like it's from your boss. And the person on the other end of the phone began to cry. And it's at that time I knew it was real and we had to do something. So we have been educating user by user, and that was the first one. The second one was I received a call from someone who said, I need your help right away. My broker received an email from me, and it was an email from him, that said, please wire, we'll use $50,000 in this example, from my brokerage account to this account. The broker picked up the phone, called the person, and the person said, I did not send that email, so no money transferred. But the person said, how could someone get into my email account? And we banged our head against the wall for an hour or two. We looked at everything we could and all the in and outs. And then we realized he called me back and I asked him, what have you done? He goes, you're not going to believe this. I just received an email from one of my vendors that said that he had a Dropbox email to click on to receive a file. So it said, put in your email and your password, your email password, and you'll get the file. And that's exactly what it is. He went to some rogue website, he put in his email address, he put in his password, and someone received his email address and his password, and they began sending emails out of his email. So he typed his email address and password on an internet site. That's something we don't want to continue. We'll talk about ways to stop that. Then the third one that was, I guess, even scarier was we have a client that has a vendor, and they have been working with a vendor for a very long time. Someone hacked the vendor's email account and sent a change of bank ACH, change of bank routing number, and changing the bank account number for their monthly payment for the goods that they would buy. And it was about $20,000 a month. So they filled out the information, sent it to that email account, which was a legitimate email account from the vendor, changed the information on the bank, and paid the next 3 months $20,000 or so each month to the vendor. And the vendor called and said, hey, we haven't received your payment in 3 months. You guys, we've been great to work with you over the years. What's going on? And they said, we have paid you. You sent us an email, which we shows legitimate, and we transferred the funds to to your new bank. And that particular one is actually still in litigation. So I'm not sure what happened there, but the point of this whole story of these three examples is do not transfer any funds from an email, whether it's a legitimate email because someone's account has been compromised, or someone's account that tried to imitate that account or look like that account. Never transfer money unless someone has authorized it with their voice that you know. Okay, and then the last one I've heard of, we have no relation with this company whatsoever, but someone logged into an accounts payable system, changed the GL account numbers, not the GL, the ACH banking numbers for a vendor or more, and then when they made their payments, they were automatically set to go out of the system. They were going to the wrong bank. That's not our company. It's nothing to do with Rader Solutions. No client, just something I heard. So it is getting scary out there. So perfect time for this webinar. Okay, Jason, I'm going to go ahead and start with our slides.
Sounds good.
And I guess everybody can see we have computer security, email security, password security, phone security, and browser security. Okay, so the first thing is in computer security. Some of our key points here are, remember, if you're connected to the internet, you're a target for hackers, especially if you're in a coffee shop, on an airplane. We have someone recently on a cruise ship. So be careful where you are. My personal rule of thumb, Chris Rader, is I never use public wireless unless it's a dire need, but I'll never put any email information in, any credit card information, anything. I'll just do Google searches. And I'm against it, but I have used it before. Keep all your software up to date. Make sure that we're aware of all software running on your machine. We're updating your Windows programs. We're updating Microsoft Word, all your Microsoft Office products, everything on the server. We're constantly updating. What we're not updating is if you have some small program on your PC that we're not aware of that you're running, we're not updating that program. If we're aware of it, we put it in our process and we'll update it. Furthermore, as a side note, if you have a home TV or a fridge, I haven't seen one yet that's hooked up to the internet or anything that's hooked up to the internet, make sure you update your firmware and your software on those devices to protect yourself at home. We track all of the equipment that we have on your site for firmware and software, and if you come into our office, we know what percentage of those have been updated and what versions they're on. So we do track that, but we're not tracking your home items, and if it's something that you loaded on your PC that we're not aware of, we're not tracking it. Okay, simple rule of thumb here. When you walk away from your desk, lock your screen. It takes us a second. Use antivirus protection. We have antivirus on all of the computers that we manage for you. But you should have antivirus on your computers. We're monitoring it. We're managing it on a 24-hour basis, and we're getting alerts from it. Save important files on the server and not your local PC. There are some exceptions, but I can let you know that every file that you have on your server is always backed up. On your PC, the only files that are being backed up is if you're using the Sooner file share, those are being backed up, or you've made a specific request for us to back up your entire PC. So if you have a specific request to back up your entire PC because you are keeping files on it and you can't put them on the server for one reason or another, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can get that backed up for you. Be conscious what you plug into your computer. Don't go crazy and just start taking devices you buy off of the internet and plug them in your computer. We're not sure what it is. We do have some safety um, features out there to protect you from it, but I can't stop you from buying things in China and just plugging and plugging. So encrypt on devices if available if you have sensitive data. If you would like for us to encrypt your hard drive on your computer, we can. If you have a laptop and you walk or travel with a laptop, we should have that data encrypted for you. So if you have a traveling laptop and you'd like for us to encrypt that data, also please contact us and we will do that for you. Um, the last line on computer security is don't leave a laptop in the car. Thieves look for laptops to steal. They look for the data. Um, you can easily hack a system, believe it or not. So we don't want to keep that laptop in the car that's visible. If someone does take a laptop and they log in with that laptop one way or another and it goes online and we're managing it, which we should be, then we have the ability to erase that laptop. But if they never make an internet connection, we won't be able to erase it. So just keep that in mind. All right. The next step is email security. And I've kind of given the beginning of my speech, everything that we talked about happened through email except for the one AP system that was hacked. So let's start with the email. And the first thing I'd like to say is don't assume email transmission is secure. If I send something from my computer to your computer, there's a lot of points in between here and there. And the one thing that would be secure is if we encrypt it. But if it's not encrypted, then it's not secure. What's a spoof versus a phish versus a hack? Okay, let's start with a spoof. A spoof is when someone attempts to look like Chris Rader and they send you an email, but they're not Chris Rader. They're spoofing you. So instead of it being crader at radersolutions.com, their address might be CR8 DERSOLUTIONS.com, and they make it say Chris Rader. That's a spoof. A phish is when someone sends you an email from Chris Rader or someone else, and they attempt to get your bank account information or login and password. The person that had the Dropbox attempt sent to them that asked for their login and password, which I gave you an example of, that is a phishing attempt. Okay, they did actually get the login and the password. A hack is when someone gets the login credentials for your email account and they log in with your email. Okay, so let's talk about awareness of additional levels of security. The first one is email encryption. We have the ability to encrypt email. Typical companies should have accounting and payroll data encrypted. You should never send employees social security numbers. In medical, everything that we're sending as relates to a patient should be encrypted. But in a non-medical, we do need to encrypt any HR data or any financial data. We don't want to send that out. So we have the ability to send emails and encrypt them. So if that's important to you, then let us know. We do have it set up at a number of companies now. If maybe not most, but quite a few. There's something called advanced threat protection and multi-factor authentication. Advanced threat protection is a Microsoft feature that we can turn on that will actually do a better job of finding these spoofing or phishing emails. So if you're getting a lot of these, we're more than happy to turn that on for you. There's an additional fee from Microsoft to do it, but we can provide that to you if it's important. Multi-factor authentication, three big words mumbled together. I would strongly suggest that we turn on multi-factor authentication for any accounting people or anybody who's handling data that should be also encrypted. We use multi-factor authentication. When I log on to my webmail and I'm traveling, I get a note. I get a, um, a code on my phone that I have to type in addition to my password. And what this does is it's one more layer of security like you would have at a bank when you log on. So if someone does pick up my login and my password, they're not going to be able to put in that 6-digit code because that's coming straight to me on my cell phone. So everything I've just described, I think in my examples, every one of those, with the exception of that AP system that was hacked, could have been avoided if there was multi-layer authentication. I'm a big fan of it, and we can't push it out fast enough. Okay. Avoid phishing scams. Beware of suspicious emails. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Be um, be suspicious of efficient-looking emails that ask for personal information. Nobody at Rader Solutions will ever send you an email and ask for your personal financial information. We will not do it. Um, and be suspicious of links and attachments that you weren't expecting. If you're not expecting a Dropbox link from someone, don't open it. If you do receive one and you're not sure, pick up the phone and call them. We're actually going to go back to using the phone, believe it or not. Um, avoid auto forwarding a work to email to personal email. We don't like to see a person using their personal email for work. There's a number of reasons, and here are some of them. Number one is all that data typically belongs to the company and not you. Putting an auto forward on it, someone may auto forward a virus to you, and it may not go through a checking process. When there's problems, the company can't look through those emails because they're coming from a personal email account. And then if there's an untrustworthy relationship that ever develops between an employee and a company, and they're forwarding emails to their personal account, it's a red flag. But we've seen people do it because they said, I've had this email account for 20 years, and that's how people access it. So I don't want to use my work account. But I would ask you, you have to start at some point, use your work email account. And that way everything's in one repository and it's easier to manage for security. And then this may be the most important point on the slide. Voice-to-voice communication when transferring money. Never, ever transfer any money, give out any credit card information or anything unless you have a verbal from the person who's requesting it. And I don't think we need more of an explanation than that. All right, that takes care of email security. And now we'll move on to password security. Enable multi-factor authentication. Those three words I just used. Multi-factor authentication to secure your login credentials. We strongly suggest we set that up for you so that in addition to your password, you have a 6-digit code that's usually generated for about a 30-second period or a minute or 15 seconds so that you have to type that in addition to your password. To put you at ease, if you're on Outlook on your computer, once it authenticates once, you don't have to type that in every single time. You only have to do that when you access the webmail. The phone is very similar. It will expire after some period of time, but it's not every day. When you input a password, we don't store your passwords. We don't know what your passwords are. You know your passwords. We want you to pick a long password with words in the password, something easy for you to remember, but the length is important because programs that are built to break those passwords, the fewer the number of characters, the easier it is to break it. It's logic. And don't use the same password for multiple sites. We've heard that before. And don't save passwords in your browser. If someone will walk up to your computer because you didn't lock it and they're in your browser, they can get into your information, into those accounts because those passwords are stored. And don't write your passwords down. And don't leave a computer file don't leave a password file on your computer. That means don't create an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document and put passwords in it because someone could get a hold of that. That could be out there forever. If your PC is being backed up and that backup is not encrypted, or you put it on a thumb drive and you leave it in the airport, I mean that file could actually go somewhere, and we don't want that to happen. So, what password management software do you recommend? I use Keeper as one. Um, Jason, do you have two others that you recommended? We talked about these this morning.
Yeah, Jason McClurg likes to use LastPass, and I
Okay,
like to use the one called One Password, the number one password.
so the three programs we just described, Keeper, OnePass, and what's the other one?
So LastPass and then One
LastPass.
Password. Yep,
Okay,
and One
and the
Password.
number one in password, those are three programs you can find in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and it stores your passwords in a file and they're encrypted. And I strongly advise this. I started using one about 2 years ago, and I have all my passwords separated by by different categories, so it's just real easy for me to manage. Um, Beware of using public Wi-Fi spots. I don't use them. I'm done with them. I'm not a fan of them, and I think they're easy to hack. And never share your password with others. I can't believe we have to put that on a slide, but don't do that. Okay, that's password security. Phone security. Be aware of suspicious phone calls. I did a security presentation about a year ago, and we went through what we're going through here. And we talked about never give out any information. Microsoft will never call you. The person who organized that event called me the next day and said, "You're not going to believe this, but I received a call from Microsoft and I gave them access to my computer by going to a website and clicking on a link because they said my software was going to expire, and they wanted to fine me or make me charge a fee or whatever they were going to do." I said, "You did not." They said, "Yes." So beware suspicious phone calls. No one from Microsoft is going to call you and ask you to connect to their computer, period. Um, don't assume text messages are secure. We'd still do send things with text, but don't assume that's secure either. Someone could grab someone else's phone call and start send this phone and send information back and forth. Always use a password to unlock your phone. I've seen a few phones that did not have passwords on them. Put a password on your phone. Make it simple, but put a password on it. Only install apps from trusted sources. Don't go rogue and go to every site on the internet and try to download apps. Only choose those from the App Store or from Google Play. Um, and back up your phone data. Our phone is a mini computer. I have a lot of data on my phone. I have a lot of programs on my phone, and my phone is backed up in real time or close to real time, so that if I ever have a problem, like this weekend, I was in New Orleans and I was walking across Canal Street, and I dropped my phone, and it's about 3 or 4 lanes wide, and a lot of traffic was coming, and I just picked it up. It only took about a half a second, but I thought this is why I backed my phone up. So I thought I'd use that as an example. Okay, let's talk about browser security last. Um, Only enter your passwords in websites that have a valid SSL certificate. What that means is don't ever log into a site that's HTTP colon slash slash. HTTPS, the S is for secure. You want to make sure that you're logging into sites that are HTTPS. Okay. Be careful what you share on social networking sites. If you put it out there, it's out there forever. Facebook has a new feature that will allow you to go back and delete your history, but you can only delete the history as far back as they've implemented that change in the software, and that's about 45 to 60 days ago, and that was based on all of the issues they had where they testified in front of Congress and they shared data. What's also important about that is even though you're deleting your history, someone else may have printed it out, screenshot it, or shared it with someone else. Um, so be careful what you put on social media. Don't install browser helpers. If you're at a site and it says, "Hey, hook this up to your browser to speed it up," do not do that. Don't install anything on your browser that we would call a helper. Shop online on trusted devices and networks. If you're not sure about the site, you've never heard of it, you probably shouldn't be there. Um, and the second most important thing on this um, webinar is enable alerting for banking transactions. And here's what I mean. Every credit card company and bank that allows online banking, and I may be corrected on this, but I'm pretty sure all of them allow you to receive an alert when a transaction is made. For example, if I use my credit card and I buy some gum at the store, even though it's only $1, it'll alert me and I get a text and it says, you're buying gum at whatever the store is. It doesn't say gum, but it says you're buying $1 for $100 worth of groceries, etc. So every time I swipe my credit card, I get an alert. A couple of times a week when I'm in town, I eat lunch with some people at a place called Hub City, eat breakfast with some people called Hub City Diner, and it's a bunch of much older guys than me that retired, and I showed them how to do it, and you would think they're a genius now because they swipe their credit card and they get an alert, hey, your credit card has been charged $7.33. I say that to be funny, but I also say that because if someone hacks your credit card, because it's so easy to pick up the numbers when you give your credit card to someone in a restaurant, they can take a picture of both sides of it. Um, if someone does swipe it, you're going to get an alert that a transaction has been made, and at that point, you can address it. You don't have to wait until you get the statement or later. And the same thing for banks. If you do online banking, um, whether an ACH has been posted against your account, depending on who your bank is and how they're set up, typically any transaction that goes in and out of your account can be sent to you. It gets a little laborious at times, um, trying to keep up with all that information. But I've been doing that for a couple of years, and I recommend it to everybody. And some of these people that I eat breakfast with don't know how to use a computer. They actually went to a bank and had them set them up on the credit card, so it would be so that because they didn't know how to do it, or on their banking. So, but everybody on this webinar knows how to use a computer. Um, so what do I want to say in wrapping up? Um, it's my hope that um, in the future we can educate all of the users to operate responsibly. We're doing our best, and we're spending an inordinate amount of time and training and people and software and management and monitoring to keep you safe. We just want you to spread the word among your employees to make sure you don't click on things you shouldn't. We put in multi-layer um, authentication where we can to keep your email secure and that you operate in the safest way possible. That's what we ask. And we will have more of these webinars. And I want to make sure that you feel comfortable. If you want to reach out to us, please give us a call and we can talk through any of these as they are specific to your company, your PC, or you as a user, and work with you on any of these. And that is why we're here. So, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do, Chris, actually. And while we wait for a few more to come in, I see Carolyn has one. There's a few things I wanted to mention. For anybody that wants to ask a question, the pane on the right-hand side of your screen, look for that little arrow, open it up, and just type your question into the question box and hit send, and we'll get it on our end. Three things. The storing passwords in a browser is also a very bad idea because you could have a hidden form or a hidden field in a form that you're filling out that grabs that password. So another good reason why not to keep passwords in browsers. A couple of years ago, I did hear about somebody's text messaging system getting hacked, their actual SMS for it was like their Verizon phone. So
Okay.
that is something that happens from time to time. And then I read the other day the FBI is investigating something to do with the campaign, and the gentleman was using an app called WhatsApp. It's a chat app, and
Yes.
he was saving it he was backing it up to iCloud, but when it backed up to iCloud, it saved it in plain text. So the FBI was able to get the backup and see all the entire conversation this person was having. So encrypting backups is extremely important. If you're going to back up sensitive information, we want to make sure it's encrypted.
That's a very good point.
So we have some questions coming in. The first one, Carolyn asked, how secure is our Office 365 email? Is it compliant to send receive personal info? And I think I can answer this.
Go ahead, please.
If it's within your organization, like if I'm sending from me to Chris Rader, yes, it is safe because it actually never leaves the email server. But if I'm going to send from Rader Solutions to you, I can't guarantee that it's encrypted end to end. I don't know the route that the mail is going to take to get to your mailbox. So if I was going to send sensitive information to you, Carolyn, I would want to encrypt that email. And if you're going to send personal information to me or sensitive information, I would want you to encrypt that email just to guarantee that nobody can get it in between. If I'm sending something to Gmail, I know it's hitting several servers along the way that could copy that email. It could be, a malicious actor that's copying that email, and we wouldn't even know. Tim
Okay.
asked, will the slides in the webinar be available for printing to share with our employees?
Yes.
Yes. That, and we also recorded the webinar. We just want to figure out the best way to deliver it to you guys. This is for Rader Solutions companies only, so we just need to find the best way to do that. Stephanie also asked me to get out a printout of the slides. Yeah, we'll provide that to all you guys. And we'll do more of these too. So if you found this useful, definitely have some of your coworkers or employees sign up next time.
Okay.
Those
Any
were
other?
the three that came in. I just, we're going to reach out. Go ahead, Carolyn. You can ask another quick question. Certainly call us, email us. We're going to reach out to all of you as well, just to see if any of the things that we talked about were things that you want to implement. Just waiting for Carolyn to hop in here. Is a PDF document with a password safe? Depends on how good the password is.
It's dependent on the password, is what you're saying.
Yep, that's really what it comes down to. Yes,
Right.
we get here at the we get our pay stubs with a password on it, and yes, as long as it's a good password. To send outside of your email system, yes. In email migrations that I've done, I don't know if you remember, Carolyn, I would send a big PDF, password protected PDF with everybody's password for you to pass out in the office. So that is, yes, that's safe. I would make sure you're using the latest version of Acrobat though to do that.
Correct.
I wouldn't trust, version 8 or 7 or 6, because who knows what kind of hacks have been found in those. So definitely make sure you're using, 11 or DC versions of Acrobat.
And in reference to that also, on your phone, make sure that I didn't mention this, but let's make sure that you're updating all of your apps or whatever type of phone you have, update all those programs when the updates come out.
That's another good point, and we do monitor when things are hacked. So for instance, QuickTime for Windows was discontinued by Apple, and somebody found a hack, a network hack, because you can do network streams, actually 2 network hacks. So we went through and we removed QuickTime for Windows on as many computers that we manage. But
Okay.
VLC player version 2 could have a hack. So if you're using VLC player to watch videos, certainly make sure you're on the latest version.
But we have the ability to scan all the networks for those programs and remove them when we do identify it as a problem. So just keep that in mind.
Correct.
So, okay.
I think that'll do it. If you have any questions, give us a call, and we'll do this again some other time.
All right. Thanks everybody, and thank you, Jason Sakura, as always, for your professionalism in putting this together. We appreciate it.
Thanks. This is a lot of fun, Chris. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye.